shackled, beaten, and humiliated, surrounded by his enemies and God's enemies, Samson asks God for strength one last time. And with his arms stretched out to his side, do you see the image of the cross, the shadow that it might have cast? He brings the temple crashing down, killing himself and his enemies. The end of verse 30 tells us that he accomplished more in his death than he did in his life. His death wasn't the salvation of Israel, but the beginning of it, right? Wasn't that the call on his life, that he would begin the salvation of Israel? Now, we know that the Philistines still troubled God's people after this time, right? But it wouldn't be a judge or a warrior who would free them, but a young shepherd boy. A spirit-filled king who would save God's people from the Philistines. But even with King David, it wasn't enough. He destroyed Goliath, and they were no longer under the captivity of the Philistines, but there were more enemies, weren't there? And so Jesus was born. He came not to begin salvation only, but to finish it. Jesus came to save to the uttermost. Friends, Jesus saves completely and eternally. There's nothing left to do. The qualification was a perfect and sinless life to be offered as a sacrifice. And the punishment and the penalty for sin was death. Jesus did that. Jesus was beaten and mocked and suffered, and he died so that you don't have to. And on the cross, what did he cry? He cried out to God, "It is finished." It is finished. Do you know that? This morning, do you know that everything that is needed to be done for you to live in peace, not only here, but for eternity with God, it's finished? And so let me ask, are you living in this truth? Or are you still trying to work and do good and prove yourself to God? Brothers and sisters, our greatest enemy has been conquered. Death has been defeated. And so this Christmas, as we reflect on the birth of Jesus, let's not forget why he was born. He was born to die. He was born to be raised from death. He was born into this world so that he could be the Savior of the world.